Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. I am your host, the Wolfwalker Mediocrity 4.
It is I, high-powered, fresh from a new brain upgrade, so I got more RAM slots in my skull to better chop up my enemies with a katana that folds itself 1,000 times every second just to flex on the Japanese. It's me, high-powered.
So I'm just going to ignore the fact that the last episode where I wasn't here was the shortest episode we've ever recorded for a podcast. I'm definitely not going to read into that at all. I definitely don't talk too much during every podcast. That's definitely not correlated. Okay, correlation does not equal causation. I am dude.
Your boy Coop has decided to become a corpo shill and run around a cyberpunk dystopia getting monies and banging all the hot cyberpunk corpo chicks. Also, I found yet another reason to repost the same gif of a cat banging on a keyboard.
As you always do. And just give me a virtual avatar and so I can be a VTube sock. I'm Sock with Guard.
So this is episode 6 of volume 8.
Mhm.
We only have one episode left, which I think the podcast for that will be like going up on Christmas or the day after Christmas. But this
Somewhere
is
around there.
yeah, so this episode is going to be going up as the hiatus officially starts. Because I always do these like a week in advance. But this episode it was I think we're more divided on this episode than we've been on any episode in the volume so far. I don't know how divided we are. I've only talked I haven't talked
We're
to
the
Sock
most
or Dude at all.
divided. I'm going to kill every last one of you, even the ones that are on my side, because fuck it, I love betrayal.
Okay, well then let's go down the line then. Like just say quick, yes or you liked it or you didn't like it.
Well,
Uh,
you get to
I
go
did.
first since you're at the top.
Okay.
Top dude.
I surprisingly liked it.
I also liked it.
I also liked it.
I really liked it.
I'm indifferent.
Okay, so we're not divided basically.
Like,
Sock is the most wow, so Sock is actually the most negative on an episode. What?
We did it,
well,
boys.
on the
We
whole,
solved Sock.
What?
For me, it's like it was good, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So that
Okay, well, hey, no, that's fine. I like negative Sock. This is new, so
No.
I'm fine with it.
so,
I'm just saying. So
Sock.
basically, I just wanted to ask because I didn't think we were divided, and basically, for the most part, we're not. Like we
Well, it's
actually.
not so much. It's not so much just
it
like
was good.
people on the podcast. I think it's more of like a fandom in general.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but see, the thing is, the fandom doesn't count because a lot of them are idiots. So I mean,
Is,
it's true. Again, like, come on, like
Is
asking me who studied history in college, like what my thoughts are on some sort of science thing. Like, my opinion doesn't fucking matter. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, that's my basic version of that.
I just want to know if Negasock is actually like a black set of stockings of some sort, or what the deal is with that. Like, I want to see the evil version of socks.
I was surprised that I liked this episode, to be honest, because, and I was talking about this before the podcast started, but at the beginning, I was like, we're getting Cinder's backstory. Ugh.
So, like,
Like,
here's
It's like
my
the
thing
biggest
with-
sigh ever, and then
It's
like
a
by
big
the end,
sigh.
I'm like, yeah, but then like by the end, I had to admit, it was like, I still didn't love the first half of the episode, but nothing about it was terrible. It's predictable and safe, but you know what? By RWBY standards, that's pretty good.
Yes.
And then the end of the episode was really good. Like the tie-ins they did between like how Cinder was treated then and how she's treated by Salem, and the stuff with, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I didn't hate the kind of interactions we were getting with Oscar and Ozpin, because hey, bigger sign of Ozpin taking over from Oscar, because that's what I got out of that.
Them kind of screaming at the rest of the dudes that they were about to fucking throw everybody off a cliff was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
I was-
that bit where like Oscar Ozma are like,
It's like-
don't do this. It's like it's literally gonna be the end of the world, guys. You have to believe me.
Yeah.
Probably should have just broadcast that on television back when you had your international comm system up. asshole.
Well, Uspen's
Couldn't
still
have-
dumb. Uspen's
Yeah.
still an idiot and a piece of shit, but like he's not as bad as Salem. He's just more incompetent than she is.
Yeah.
And he's not that much better than her. He just
I mean,
picked a different side, really. Like,
I mean, like, you know, being more incompetent than somebody who's already pretty damn incompetent is actually pretty impressive.
Yep.
So that wraps around that loop
Yeah.
pretty good and comes right back to the beginning of when you're
But-
impressed by someone.
yeah, but still, I did like the rest of the episode, and I like the ending, and it did have me very excited for the next episode. So, shit, I mean, that's 5 good episodes in a row, and not just like 5 good episodes by RWBY standards. I think
We-
that's 5
Yes.
good episodes of TV,
Yes, we have
which is
reached-
nuts. I don't think
we-
that's ever happened before. I
we-
don't
we
think
have-
that's happened in RWBY before.
Yeah,
so.
it's
We have
pretty
certain
wild
num-
with the level of consistency we've been experiencing recently.
And I was so, and if you guys, go back and listen to the first podcast.
Oh yeah,
I was
definitely.
so, I was so done with this show, right? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. And like,
Yeah.
here I am, like, not even talking about Renora, and I'm like, damn, this is good. I'm interested. I'm in right now. I am so excited. Like, hey, cool. I'm happy to be wrong. This is the most wrong I've been about like predicting a season or anything, and I'm thrilled. Thrilled.
I will still say this: don't be too thrilled, because all we've done now is just reached click 5 on the revolver, and
That's
we're
true.
still playing Russian
Yeah.
roulette.
It's true. We're still fucking up, but you know what?
Statistically,
Statistically
the next
speaking,
one.
This is still the best they've done so far. So you know what? I can at least
Yeah.
appreciate that, right?
Yeah. The thing is,
So-
I actually have gone back and watched the previous episodes of the podcast and listened and stuff like that to see where we've been. And yeah, kind of a marked improvement, but it's kind of like, oh, the things we were saying back then.
But
Yeah.
we weren't
No,
wrong at the time.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, we
the
weren't
thing.
wrong.
Like the first episode is still bad. Like for like the things that we talked about that were bad about it. They just kind of mostly retconned and ignored the things that they did stupidly in the first episode. So, which is exactly how we said they could fix it, which is exactly what they fucking did.
The majority of this episode is the Cinder flashback. And honestly, it's one of those things like, what did you expect? It is what we expected since we found out her name was Cinder. Like literally, like that. It's Cinderella.
Yeah.
Back in volume 2, there was like this interview with like Miles, Carrie, and Monty, where they were joking about like when they were naming characters, and Miles like, yeah, I wanted her name to be Cinderella, Ella. Like that is how on the nose they have been with this. And
Cinderella, are you
Yeah.
implying he was using some Hispanic dialogue there? Okay,
Yes.
how do you not
Yes.
know it was just Ella and he was using an English version of dialect?
I mean,
Well,
he
I-
does
I-
live in
I mean, I
Texas,
know-
and if
I
you
know this
spend enough
because-
time
because
in
this was-
Texas, you eventually
I mean-
become Hispanic.
I mean, I know this because this was a video interview, not a written one. So
Cinderella.
yeah.
So he literally, what kind of fucking?
Miles
How
is
in the
also
living-
Miles is also Hispanic.
Okay, yeah, but assumedly he would know that there's no fucking such word like out there that anybody would ever say.
Well,
that's
maybe
like a
that's-
slang
maybe that's-
term, I think. If
Well, maybe that's why
anything.
they would fall. Maybe that's why they changed it.
That's probably is, but even so, like, even that coming to your mind in the first place, I'm like, damn, dude, take some fucking anti-seizure meds, because your synapses be firing like mad crazy, dude. I don't know where the
Remember who we were talking about. Like this does not surprise me at all. But yeah, so you had that. So we knew the basis. Abusive family, 2 evil stepsisters. We just weren't sure how far they would go with that.
They,
and I think
they went about as far as they could have
pretty
gone.
far. They
Yeah.
went further than I thought they would. I thought it would be just run-of-the-mill child abuse, but no, she had like a shot collar.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's one thing I appreciated was that like I mean I do think that so my negative parts on this episode were of course like we don't need Cinder's backstory because we knew what it was going to be. And so I wasn't excited to watch it, and I won't go back and rewatch this episode much probably unless like I'll watch it as a whole for the volume maybe if the volume
Yeah.
continues to be
just,
good.
just
But it wasn't that amazing. But I will give them credit that they improved. It was better than I thought it was going to be. They didn't mess anything up. I like that it was even like more violent than we would have expected, so that kind of helps explain things a bit more. And the thing that they did that I loved the most by far was the fact that they didn't. What I was worried about, they were going to try to make you sympathize with Cinder, and they didn't, because they had her kill her whole family, which I guess you could still partly sympathize with that. But then when she killed the guy, the only guy that was encouraging her and helping her, that's when it's like, okay, no, she's still a piece of shit. We explained why she's a piece of shit, but she's still clearly a piece of shit.
I
You
think
could say
Okay,
that
you're not.
she wouldn't have done that though. He kind of pulled his
I,
weapons out on her, so
yeah,
I can
that's
understand why
think he
she's
did.
like,
I think he did that to test her because, like, his whole thing, the whole reason why he trained her. Dude's name is Rhodes, by the way, and I'll get to like why that's a neat reference
The
later.
significance
Um,
later.
yeah,
it's the
because he is
Colossus of
my
Rhodes.
yeah, because he is my favorite part of this episode actually because his whole deal with training Cinder was that like there are ways she could better her, situation through her own means, but if she just runs away, she'll never stop running. So he was trying to, like, teach her how to stand up for herself and how to fight for herself and not for, like, anybody else. Um, so I in a way, like, he is much more like what
Oh,
What Salem has now turned into for her, which is this yeah, it's a mentor, but like she does have a lot more autonomy. Like right now she probably has more autonomy than she's ever had under Salem, but certainly it's more than what Tyrion, Mercury, or Hazel are getting right now.
yeah,
Because
oh
that's
God.
just how Cinder works best. Like the whole like volumes 1 through 3, that was her also being mostly autonomous and not taking direct orders from Salem and just kind of doing things the way she wanted to do them, and that actually turned out very well for her.
It is kind of
Jesus
interesting to
Christ.
see how like Salem's treating Cinder, because it's kind of like both like the honey and vinegar method,
hmm
and it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's like I think Salem's now kind of realized it's like, well, this is how I have to deal with this like child, is basically just kind of like let her loose and let her do her own thing essentially to get the best results, because even if I tell her no, she's just gonna go out and go do it anyways.
Like,
So, and then it's like, but you're in
Well,
competition with
and
the
and
Hound.
you also have to realize that, like, much like what we said last week, no, she actually did get some results last week. She struck out on her own, she disobeyed Salem, and it actually helped them in the end because she helped take down Amity Coliseum. Like, she is the reason why global communications were only up for a few minutes, not permanently.
yeah,
And I think that is what I think Salem is smart enough to realize that, and that is why she's given her autonomy. Like, had she been a complete failure last week, she would have gotten her ass beat. But because it was a moderate success, that is what like has earned that level of trust from Salem again. So remember, in the prior episode, she said like, "Oh, she thinks she wants," as if she's done anything to earn that. She earned that last week, and now she's unbound. Like Salem is just saying, "Okay, break out Watson, get the He could lead you to the Winter Maiden. Go off."
yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. Only thing that I kind of didn't like about the fucking guy, mentor dude, whatever, Rhodesy. I'll call him Rhodey because
Yeah.
fuck it, he wears metal. Yeah, Rhodey there,
He is metal, actually.
yes. He is all sorts of rip-off Marvel characters except for the one metal guy that they should have ripped off that we no longer speak of. But like he's the pulling the weapons thing on her, I originally didn't really like either, but like what you said has me sort of rethinking that, because on the in the first place I thought he would have tried to talk her down and then she'd just like cold murder his ass. But if in actuality, like Phoenix Iki's mentor on Death Queen Island, where he was trying to instill within her enough like hatred to the point where she could kill even him, then that would actually make more sense. because he was trying to like get it to the point where she could survive on her own, and he was like setting himself up to be her final test, but they weren't clear enough on that. So I'm still going to put it as like, if that is the case, and if later on, which I doubt they will do, they do say that, I will say that would have been a good thing for him to have done and a cool way of making it happen. But uh, if that is not the case, then Cinder is not as cool as Phoenix Iki, and is not filled with as much awesome hatred, and Saint Seiya is awesome still.
That anime reference went completely over my head, Coop. You're
Yes.
welcome.
Only one
I
person I
remember
know will
watching
get it.
some Saint Seiya. I know some. I know a little bit about Saint Seiya, but not enough to like
I
Yeah,
really
watched
I don't remember any of the characters.
glean that
it.
much.
It
Uh,
it was a recent thing that I went through all of the shit over again, because like I've just due to the current state of most stuff, I have instead just been going back to old shit I knew was good anyway. And Saint Seiya, before I went on this little Gundam kick here, was one of the ones I did. Because actually, not gonna lie, Saint Seiya, oddly enough, all of the fights in it are pretty top-notch shit.
I just
I
remember
remember when
seeing
it
him
was.
on Salty Bet. That's all
Yeah.
my exposure to Saint Seiya is. Don't at me.
I remember when it was called Knights of the Zodiac here,
Yes,
stateside.
it still is called Knights of the Zodiac here, trademark. But that one, I'll say that like the dub for it, if you want a cool drinking game, just take a shot every time they say the word hell, and you'll be tipsy in no time, folks. It's real good stuff.
So anyway, I liked Rhodes. I liked that Cinder did have, someone who kind of had her back, but couldn't like have her back because she was, you know, that's
A
that's
murderer.
that's a whole that
Yeah.
it was slavery. She was a slave. Like she might have been like officially like the adopted daughter, but no, she had a shot collar, guys. Um, but yeah, Rhodes. Obviously, the reference is the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the seven ancient wonders of the world. It was a big metal statue of Apollo on the island of Rhodes, which is off the coast of Turkey. And it has also been used to as the foundation for the X-Men character Colossus, who's able to turn his skin into metal. And the island of Rhodes is also where we get the United States Rhode Island, because some cartographer thought it was the same size and shape as Rhodes, so he just like, I'm gonna just call this Rhodes 2, American Boogaloo.
Yes. I like how lazy and both creative explorers could be whenever it comes to naming things.
When in doubt, default. Just name it after
Virginia,
yourself.
Virginia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, uh,
I mean,
Georgia. That's a whole nother thing.
they were all
Uh,
named after something.
yeah, everything usually is. So yeah, what else in the specs? Yeah, she Rhodes went to like head pat her after she stabbed him.
Yeah.
And that to me is kind of what brought this whole thing together, as well as the aforementioned parallels with modern day Cinder, right down to some of the dialogue, like "Without you, I'm nothing." The the sound when Salem was like doing her little punishment on Cinder at
Yeah.
the end of the episode was very much the same sound effect as the shot collar. Kind of brings me to one of my complaints, and this is just a minor production point. I think the editing, especially at the beginning, was kind of awful. A lot of real quick cuts to basically nothing.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Mm,
I get you on that one.
I think the fight could have been a little better.
It was short,
Um,
is the thing.
yeah,
I think
I'm good with it being short though.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
that
the
needs to be a big
trick
fight or anything.
I think the trick
I was fine
with this like flashback episode, because like I'll say this right now, this is the best flashback we've had in all of RWBY.
The only good flashback, I think. I don't think we've had a good one.
There are other flashbacks. I can't remember.
There's Volume 3, Episode 7, which was the origin story that didn't have an origin in it, and then there was Volume 6, Episode 3, which had the whole Ozpin backstory with no Ozpin.
I mean, the origin
So
story kind of had two origins in it, and as far as like Emerald and Merc go, but other than that,
and
then
one day they met Cinder. The end. It's
Yeah.
kind of all we got though.
I mean that's kind of all you needed, really.
Yeah, that on it, like if I would say the only improvement would be like you scrap all of this and then you just kind of show like how Cinder even came across Salem would have also been fine with me too.
Yeah.
Just don't think it's
We- we
necessary.
might-
It's
might
not
get that
necessary, but
later.
like if we were gonna have a flashback, it's like
Well, none of it
like
was necessary.
none of
Yeah,
it was
okay, yeah, I agree.
none of this was necessary. But just because it wasn't necessary, just like the appetizer before you know, your steak dinner with a salad and a side is, like it was still like as good of an appetizer as we could get. It's like having the bloomin' onions at Outback Steakhouse whenever you order, you know, your
Man.
12-ounce New York strip or whatever you get there, covered in onions with you
I
know,
usually get ribeye.
yeah, ribye's good too.
I mean, it doesn't matter as long as you don't do it anything above medium. You're an okay individual and a real human being to me. Soon as you put well
it's rare
in
to
there
it's
anywhere,
rare to medium it's dependent on the cut.
if you
Yeah.
put the word well anywhere in your order, you're dead
You're
to me.
incorrect, yeah.
We'll politely ask them to leave, Bobby.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
I'm
I mean-
a medium guy through and through.
Yeah.
Uh,
Eat burgers
Medium
too.
rare.
I'm not
If
really
it's
into
really good,
burgers.
then medium rare. Like it has to be a really good piece of meat for
Yeah.
me to do medium rare.
Mhm.
Anyway, but I mean, I don't think it's. I think like we didn't learn much more, but I like the connection they made between like how Cinder was treated before and how she's treated by Salem. That was at least interesting. That did slightly upgrade it and made it less pointless. So that's why I was saying I didn't hate it. It does add a tiny bit. We didn't need it, but at least it did add a little bit of something, and it didn't detract anything at all. Even if it was kind of obvious, but
Yeah, it was obvious seeing.
that's what stops it from. Yeah, that's what stops it from being a great episode. I mean, the stuff after the Cinder backstory was the better stuff, I think. But the Cinder stuff, if the worst I think I can say about it is it's a bit predictable. That's pretty fantastic by this show standards. So I'm not going to be too mad about it. It's better than us getting Nora backstory because that can only go poorly. Honestly,
yeah.
that can only be bad. So this is better. This is better.
At least with Cinder, we now know a little bit like what she went through before she was picked up by Salem, which I haven't seen any of this meme yet, but I can already like with my Katakuri style future sight, I can see the memes coming of like name a character who's gone through more than this, but with Cinder. I can see it coming. In the not too distant future.
I mean, it will be very easily. I don't even know why anybody ever does that because it's always extremely easy to immediately counteract with almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if you're just shit posting, like
Like-
put in like Buster Gold or someone.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was the one I thought of.
That's really out of left field.
Yeah, it's Booster Gold.
Puts Deku's mom from My Hero.
Hey,
Wow.
Booster Gold actually went through worse than Deku's mom did. Okay, he was a poor janitor who just wanted to be a big shot and stole a suit to do it and went back in time with it. Because I guess you can when you're just a janitor. Fuck it. I don't know what the
Yeah.
security is like in that museum. Probably pretty shit.
Yeah, I would guess so. I really liked the little scene with Emerald and Mercury, and I'm glad that Yuri Lowenthal is getting that paycheck.
Yeah, he's
finally.
allowed to speak instead of
Yeah.
just grunt autistically in the background.
I know we've been making this joke since like the inauguration of this podcast, but man, they got Yuri Lowenthal and then they just keep not giving him things to do.
No, and I thought it was fine to bring them back for this, for basic, because the funny thing about it is I really liked it, because sometimes it's like, oh, they're gonna add more characters and who cares, but I liked this because it's like, okay, you haven't seen Emerald and Mercury for a while. Obviously, Emerald is still worshiping the ground that Cinder Senpai walks on. Obviously, like she's still, and she sips so hard for Cinder, and she still hasn't been noticed, but that makes
never
sense,
will
right?
be, probably.
And the thing is, but you haven't seen Mercury, and it makes sense for him to be like, yeah, nah, I'm not loyal to you anymore. You can suck it. Like, that makes sense. Like,
Well, he got promoted. He got promoted by
Yeah.
Salem. Like he's
Yeah,
working
Exactly.
directly
no,
under
yeah,
her
so
now.
he got
He's on
promoted.
Tyrion level now.
And that makes sense, though. Yeah, I was saying, and that makes sense. Like, I'm glad, like, because he hasn't been interacting with Cinder, it stands to reason that he's going to get promoted and, like, be loyal to Salem more at this point. So I like that. I like that they did that. That's good
Especially-
writing. That's good storytelling. Thank you.
Yeah, especially
They
given
did
like
something with the gap where at least when he was doing nothing, at least that resulted in something. Like, it makes sense, right?
yeah,
That's
like I really like this dynamic, and I've kind of always dug this dynamic, and I've been waiting with like fingers crossed that they actually do something with this dynamic after volume, what was it, volume 6, that we got a little more insight on Mercury's backstory, where he talked about his father. I think that was
Trying to
volume
remember
I
6.
think
which one
so.
it
I know the
was.
story you're talking
It
about, where
was either
he killed his own dad.
6 or 7, and I
He
don't
killed
remember
his
them
own
showing up
dad.
later.
We know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And then
that was
Cinder
in
finds
volume
him.
3.
Okay,
That
whatever.
that was in volume 3, but like there was the conversation he had with Emerald in volume 6, and yes,
What did
it was
he
volume
kind of-
that his father stole his semblance.
Oh yes, that.
And-
So basically what you have is you have Emerald, who had absolutely no one her entire life, and then in comes Cinder, someone who actually like might not care for her, but cares for her, like in the pragmatic sense, like make sure she's fed, make sure she has a bed, make sure she has clothes to change into, like something that she never had because she had to take care of herself.
Clothes
Like,
that
it's
clothes
finally
that show off her cleavage.
yeah.
That was the important.
Man,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Speaking
man.
of speaking
shipping.
of her
Yeah.
outfit, of Emerald's outfit, man, like it's just it's good.
Don't do that.
Like those
Don't do that. Don't
those
do that.
weird those
I'm not
fucking
gonna lie.
those
I
funky
don't-
chaps that she has, and like
I'm not gonna.
oh,
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't talk about this stuff often, but I have to admit, Emerald's new outfit is top tier. It is top tier.
This episode did win me over with it, because I was a little more like about it when we first saw it, but then
That one's top tier.
but juxtaposing with Emerald, you have Mercury, who did have someone for a long time. He had his dad, who was just abusive and stuff to him, and so like he has this thing against like authority figures. He knows an abusive relationship when he sees one, and he's like, nah, Cinder is a lot like my dad, and so he's a little more weary of that, and he probably doesn't see Salem as any better, but Salem's immortal, Salem's the winner, Salem's this unstoppable force. So he's probably a lot more in line with Hazel, where it's like, yeah, I'm working for the bad guys, but at least I'm working for the team that's gonna win. Like that's probably more where his mentality is at. And so he's going to be a lot more loyal to Salem because of that. Like he doesn't have that symbiotic relationship with Cinder that is going to be a lot easier to break off the way that Emerald and Neo do. It's like if Cinder decides she doesn't want to work for Salem anymore, Mercury's not going to go with her. Emerald will. Neo might. Neo kind of doesn't like Cinder either.
Neo's like, I'm just gonna leave just so I can
Yeah, I'm just gonna
exit
go
to
off
make it my
on my
exit.
own as
Yeah.
well.
He was like, I'm right. He was like, are we not going after Ruby or what? What's going on? I'm so lost. Why am I in a whale?
the series ends with Neo just stabbing Ruby through the chest and be like, I've been wanting to do this for years. Y'all were letting me. Now Salem's defeated. Ain't no one gonna stop me.
It's like literally like Ruby's doing her victory lap. She rounds the corner and Neo's just standing there holding up the pointy end of the umbrella. It's like, all right, we're done.
Now what?
And now what? Just dabs. Season ends.
I don't know how I feel about that.
So I like
also-
that I like that we got all the villains together. What were you gonna say, dude?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I liked the stuff with Oscar and Ozpin in this episode
Yeah,
as well.
I was just gonna get to that.
That we were getting to, and the
Yeah.
reason I liked it the most was because if you didn't pick up on this is what I picked up. It's Ozpin is getting even closer to taking over from Oscar, and Oscar knows it, and I like that dynamic. This is the only way that Oscar is really interesting. It's the only way we can sympathize with him, because here's the thing: they still haven't turned him into an actual character. They never did that. When we said that back, I've been saying that since Volume 4. They never did, right? But at least now at this point, he's just turning into Ozpin, and the way they're doing that, I'm glad they're making Oscar the sympathetic one in that, because I don't want us to like Ozpin by the end of this. I want the ending to be like the kids, like the main characters, are like, okay, yeah, so we beat Salem somehow. You both can just go fuck off, okay? Like, you too, Ozpin, you suck too, right? That's what I want. Or maybe like some sort of, I'd even be fine with some sort of bullshit of, they forgive each other or something, because they both suck, they deserve each other, whatever. You know what I mean? But I don't want Ozpin to be a hero, and the fact that they're like very much alluding to the fact that he is taking over Oscar even more, and Oscar is trying to resist that, is
like,
good, and I like that.
Yeah.
Oscar was literally like, "No, I've got this. Like, you, this night."
Yeah, so I like that a
do
lot.
think I do think at the end of the series, like once Salem is dealt with permanently, and they unite the relics or whatever to get the gods or back or whatever, they are going to like take Ozpin out of Oscar, but leave Oscar like to live his own life. Like that's what I think it's going to lead to eventually, even if it takes several more volumes to get there.
The question is like, would Oscar just be gone by that point? Really?
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm
that's
thinking.
well.
Yeah,
If they
that's what I
decide,
think.
if they
That's a
decide to do
volume
Rose
10 that's a
Garden,
volume 10 or 11 question right
yeah,
there.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
like if they decide to do Rose Garden, then you don't.
No. I will wave my Lancaster flag as long as I can.
Same.
It's too late, guys. We're already dead.
No.
We were all actually like Katoshi Industries have captured us and made copies of our mindscapes and put them on a hard drive somewhere. We're not even real anymore. We're just waiting for
Yeah.
some idiot to shove us into their skull so we can take over.
Wake up, samurai.
So I liked Hazel in this episode, and I like the detail that he's holding back on Oscar, and I like the fact that that's him holding back.
Yeah.
Beaten to a pulp, like
Yeah.
Oscar's like, trust me, he's holding back. I know, because he doesn't have a grudge against me, but if we switch now, he's gonna just kill us.
It's like
and I can't have
he's
that.
cracked my ribcage before. I recognize that left-handed jab to the chest.
It makes Hazel more sympathetic. It makes God damn, it makes his whole bullshit from Volume 5 kind of make a kind of work a bit more in hindsight.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Kind of.
I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't make it. Yeah, Volume 5 is still trashed here, but
yeah, it's still stupid, but at least it softens a little bit. That's like, yeah, it's like, Hazel, what are you doing? Like, your sister died to these. Why are you working for her? It's like, it kind of makes a little bit more sense, but at the same time, it's like still, I don't know. I'd be kicking and screaming.
He probably should have, like, if they wanted to go that direction with it, they probably should have just ripped off Scar and had him like be his own independent third party doing some crazy shit against both fucking ends.
Yeah.
True, actually.
Yeah, I honestly I wish this show and more shows had that kind of third party. It's been one of my biggest complaints against most shonen battle series to begin with.
There's a bad side and a good side. Oh
Yeah.
no.
And all the villains are friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Uh,
that's one thing they
Even
do
Batman
good in.
teamed up with the Joker.
They do good
Even-
in. What's it called? In My Hero is like you have the different factions of bad guys that don't like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that for a bit with Stain and then Overhaul, but
But
not as much
it,
anymore.
But
It-
State
it-
State gets a
even
pass
then-
because he's based on Red Pilled. He just wants to fight All Might. That's all he wants.
even then,
No,
they
he
were
wants to
all
kill- he wants
kind
to
of
kill everyone that's not Satan.
consolidated with each other. It was just that, like, fucking, they just sort of, just sort of made non-aggression pacts, though. Still, so it was still basically two-sided. It was just that, like, they were like, okay, you kind of killed one of our dudes. We won't fuck with you. All right, deal.
Like, even I don't know. It just needs to be more like I don't know. I just like I'm not really a DC guy, but like even I like the stuff where it's like Batman teams up with the Joker to take out someone else.
I think Ozpin almost is like that third party. I just don't think the writers realized it until maybe they're kind of starting to realize it. Like,
Yeah.
he's,
Well, I
like,
think even
he's
the
not a good guy. Actually, he's too bad and too stupid to be like somebody to actually root for. But like in this episode, it's like because like he's still trying to take over Oscar, right? And so like that's still like bad, even though I still hate Oscar, but I hate Ozpin more.
I wouldn't say trying. I think it's just
He is,
going,
yeah, successfully. But like,
well, no, it's just a thing that is going to happen.
that's
You can't
true. I
really
guess that's fair too. But
control
like,
it.
he's
It's-
also, yeah, I guess you're right. That's true too. Either way,
I
but
think
like, he's
the
also right in this episode. Like when he tries to talk like some, I guess like sense, quote unquote, into like Hazel and everybody. Like he is right. You know, he's not wrong, at least in that case, which I also liked. At least
yeah
like Osprey
no
isn't being
like
an idiot.
I think
this
like that's
episode.
kind of like the slow realization. Like Tyrion knows it's like Tyrion knows at the end of the day he's replaceable, and like so does like
And that thought makes him hard.
yes
Like you
yes it
saw
does.
his freaking eye roll when he broke his wrist in Volume 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god.
But yeah, like what's the it's to me it's kind of like I can definitely see it working on Hazel where it's like oh it's like look at like the pile of like dead bodies that Salem is looking down upon us from, and like uh he can't he can like it's the pot calling the kettle black
Mm.
is kind of what's going on a bit, but like I don't know, it's pretty good. I think it's funny is whenever they're flying around and they get the scattered transmission from John, and they're like they're not even having the Mexican standoff. They're just like arguing. They're just having a Twitter argument as
Yeah.
as the Grim River just geysers up and ruins Atlas's day. And why are there not nukes in this universe? Why is there no WMDs? Why is there no like JDAM?
Yeah, I don't
don't
think
know,
that would.
man.
I don't think that would help in the situation. They needed more point defense systems on the actual city.
Yeah, they
Not
need
not
like
not just sky bombardments from the airships
Yeah.
they need
Well,
sea whizzes.
that take out like 2 Grim.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they weren't really worried about too much because like the cold was supposed to kill the Grim off beforehand, but like it's just
Well, just
When you can bring the Grim through the cold, that does change things. And yeah, I think their logic was always like, all right, we have like this big giant like Air Force, so like we don't really need point defenses. And in fairness, like that's kind of the way the real world works if you really think
well,
about
no,
it. I mean,
the way the real world works is that they would have developed some sort of military-industrial symbiosis wherein the guys who make the AAA guns that they would have needed would have been like, guys, we definitely need this. You got to give us that money. And then the people in charge of it would have been like, oh yeah, you know what, we got to.
And that's how we got the Bradley.
Yes.
okay, but oh, that's that thing's kind of a meme, isn't it?
We're getting a better one. Don't worry, guys. This one's gonna be actually good for sure. Don't fucking worry about it
It,
anymore.
it might survive an RPG-7.
Is it going to have more than a 25mm chain gun this time?
Yes, actually.
Oh shit! Oh, a real gun. Wow. Okay.
kind of like
They're not going to have to retrofit rockets to it or missiles to it.
Oh
They're
no, it's
gonna-
I mean-
still gonna have tow launchers.
Also, like, to be fair, like you can with the fucking Gao on a fucking Warthog is only 30 millimeters, and it can penetrate most opposition tank armor.
That's because
yeah,
it's
but that
shooting from
thing's
the top.
different.
Yeah,
That thing's also different than like that's not the same thing as the chain gun that's on the fucking Bradley. That's first of all, it's 25. It doesn't shoot as fast either. It's totally different.
it
Like
doesn't shoot as fast, and it is aiming in from the side. But the Bradley also does have the two tow missiles, and really it's half of it is just based on its employment. It's not. uh, Well, first off, it's not as fast as an M1, so it can't really act as a scout for it like it should
Yeah,
have been
exactly.
designed for. But like, if it was faster, then it could. And I think the reason it isn't faster is because they added the fucking uh, infantry, like squad carry part to it instead of
Mhm.
just using up that space for a fucking jet engine. And if they had put that in, then it could be able to haul ass pretty fast and act as a scout tank. But
Yeah.
because of like current main battle tank doctrine, they don't want to do that. They just want to have it as like the backup to your fucking forward.
I miss
yeah.
having tank
battalion shit.
destroyers. Let's get off the subject before we
Well,
we
I was
just
the
do
thing
the
I was
whole.
gonna say is like, okay, Coop obviously would know more about this than I do, but like the way like
I don't know jack shit about it, honestly.
no,
Like,
not that. I'm talking about like the point defense system thing. Is like it does it to me. I did not see anything weird about the way Atlas was defended because like the way countries defend themselves, like since the Maginot line, you don't have like solid turret defenses. You have mobile defense for your own country. Okay, like the United States doesn't have a bunch of besides like the Patriot missiles and shit. We don't have a bunch of like cannons like sitting on our borders. Okay, if somebody tries to invade us, you know what I mean? We have
Well, we used to.
yeah bases. Yeah, we have bases, but like people, it's like you launch stuff
no,
from the bases.
we had anti-ship cannons.
That was in
Yeah.
the Second World War.
No,
I
but
think
do
they
we
were.
have that now?
Yeah.
Do we have that right now?
Well, they were all decommissioned, so we don't have them now.
Yeah, they
That's what I'm
were
saying.
all decommissioned in favor of anti-ship missile emplacements, but they are still emplacements.
Okay, then I was wrong. That's why I wanted to ask. That's why I said.
And I think the other thing too, like with the whole Grim Geyser thing, it's like no one's like I'm pretty certain like no one's ever seen like a river of Grim just leap up and touch them. So
Yeah,
like like the
Yeah.
the use case, it's like they generally assume that they were pretty safe floating up around there.
I
And
don't know if they've even seen one of those spawning pools they have before, much less let them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
know
Sam's
what
pulling out
they
all
know.
the stops right now. Like she's reaching deep into that cabinet
tricks.
and
Yeah.
bag of tricks and pulling out stuff. She's like, I'm gonna have fun. Like she
Yeah,
just got
speaking
her
of those-
income tax return check in. It's like it's time to spend this thing.
Speaking of that, Grim, really hyped to see the apathy again.
Oh
Yeah,
wait, was
yeah,
the
we-
apathy in there?
Yeah, it was,
yeah.
it was in the crowd after the whale vomited all the black goo. We saw like some Beowulfs, Ursa, apathy. Saw a little bit of everything, I think.
God, the apathy grid would be too. I just want to see like just like in the background, it's like some person's just standing there. You just see like the hands just like grab them and pull them out of frame. Like, oh, like this is the time too where it's like the Grim need to be scary. It's like I want to see like on-screen civilian deaths by the
Yeah, no,
Grim.
there's a lot of I was gonna say that's one of the things I'm hyped for is like they better like actually give us like all the deadly crazy shit that we want. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of potential for some serious destruction, and I want that.
I want to see the bulldozer pushing people into the open pit.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's what they
Yeah.
need for this show.
And we've got an entire just like a nice little like.
They need to lose. They need to lose.
It would seem that they are going to.
I
but
know.
we
That's
are
the thing.
only
Like, that's why I like this setup because there's not really anybody around there right now. So
Yeah,
the
the only-
losing potential is very, very high.
But
only
then
ones we
again,
know
we're
that are
only
in-
halfway in. Like,
Yeah, the only ones we know that are in Atlas are Ironwood and then Ruby's group. Winter, like we might get the Aesop slash Jean's team come in there, but like that would require Winter to like disobey her job in order to help save Atlas, and then that I think that's gonna be what happens, and then
it's
either the
cavalry.
and then either the Hound or Cinder are going to get to Penny first because of that. Oh man, this is like a lose situation for Winter. Honestly, like
Yeah, it is. It is
there's
for
no
sure.
way. There's no. I don't. Yeah, I don't see any way out of this.
Are
As
you
far
expecting
as
her to
far as
live
that
though?
plot
I'm
line,
expecting her to die.
yeah. As far as that plot line goes, there's no saving Penny at this point.
Mm,
It's too late. Like the ain't nobody we're rooting for coming for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's done right now.
she got hacked.
She's hacked. Like she's.
But
we're
you
kind
know
of
how
up front.
you know how she wouldn't have got hacked is if she'd had NordVPN.
Oh no! God damn it!
Man, any
Man, if
Ruby
only we had
tuber to
sponsors.
any Ruby tubers with NordVPN sponsorships must be having a field day.
I
I
know,
don't
right?
watch any. I don't watch anyone else's content. Like I'll occasionally sit down and watch like the Team Frostbite reactions just because my friends are on it.
I used to
Yeah.
watch Vex Viewer until like he's still negative even when the show does stuff right. It's like, okay,
Uh,
I'm done with
he
you, dude.
he liked last week's episode a lot actually. From
No,
what
I know, but like most of the videos
from what
until
I saw on Twitter.
recently, yeah, until
Uh,
recently his videos like only negative. It's like, okay, I
yeah,
get that your thing was
I
like,
watch.
shitting on the show, but like at least like, and I know that's our thing a lot, but hey, at least we give credit when it's good. At least we want
Yeah,
the show to be good. He seems
yeah,
to only like make stuff on the show being bad. So it's like, are you really
yeah,
a fan? You know, do you really care? I don't know. I mean, he has. I'm not saying all of his videos are bad. Like I liked a lot of his earlier videos. So I'm just saying like that was the last guy I
yeah.
actually like watched besides Media's videos.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you'll watch
Vext is
I might watch most of everyone's content. So
Or when,
yeah.
who else made a video, but he wasn't really a Ruby person like this. So this is basically Ruby video. That was pretty funny.
Oh, Jello Apocalypse.
Yeah, Joe
Yeah,
Apocalypse
I'm
video.
not a fan of him really, but
That video was
that's a
funny
whole
though.
different thing. So
I'm not subbed
uh,
to him, so I'll say
yeah,
that. I just thought that
yeah.
one video was funny.
Vex is the only one I'm subscribed to, but I only watch his stuff like in the off season.
Hmm.
Mostly because it takes him forever to come out with a video. Like he's always multiple episodes behind on his reviews. He does not crank them out in a timely manner. So it's like by the time his video on that episode comes out, I'm like just sick of hearing about those arguments. No matter what stance he ends up taking, I'm just like I'm just done with the discourse for that episode.
See, I'm
I'm
fine
like,
with that
yeah,
because I will watch his stuff. Yeah, I usually watch it like a bunch of it after the season is over or volume,
yeah,
whatever. But since I don't involve myself with any other Ruby discussion besides this group of people, and if you guys notice, like I usually don't even talk to most of the rest of the Discord. I just type in the podcast chat because I know
yeah,
you guys. You know what I mean? So I not sick of the arguments basically because I've only really
yeah.
talked to y'all.
probably a smart decision because even I'm looking at like man,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wake up, I watch the
man,
episode,
I can
go
only
there, I'm
imagine
like,
what would happen if you were left alone in a
I'm,
Ruby chat with Secure.
I mean, like I go through everything because I
see,
like.
the thing is, Secure's not the problem. Secure actually has some good points.
Yeah, no. Well, everybody
I
does
literally go in there,
really.
Oh yeah, I'm
sometimes,
not saying
right.
Secure makes bad points or anything. It's like I like the
Uh,
points that Secure makes though.
yeah, it's just like
He's a good guy.
So I
Yeah,
literally secure is my security blanket for that fucking chat sometimes.
Yeah, no, and it's not like I don't like other people that are in this group. I mean, part of it is because a lot of the people are new. I don't know everybody as well either. But
I go
also,
around
like, I
picking
just got
randos.
I have other stuff that I work on and everything. So it's like, my time is reserved. Like my Ruby time is basically reserved for this group, like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
podcast group.
I feel you.
I mean,
Uh,
I just go around because I like getting like a good feel for how like what is the current state of everything going on and like
That's smart. That's
everybody
useful for sure.
that yeah and seeing as how y'all guys don't like doing it like I will often bring in like some stuff that I've heard about like just for that purpose. As far as like watching stuff, only thing I watch is actually this, and that's literally only just so I can hear my own voice.
God.
Hey, can't blame you for that. At least you're honest about it.
uh,
I love when anybody on YouTube
Yeah.
pretends that they're not at least partly a narcissist. It's hilarious.
yeah. So, what else do we have to talk about? We already mentioned that the Hound and Cinder are going to be competing to get winter to get the Winter Maiden to
And
get
I like
Penny.
that. I think that's
Uh,
cool.
I
Yeah,
really
I
like
like
that.
that. I mean, like, I still
I
think
really want the Hound to win and just be like,
Oh yeah, me
"Bitch,
too.
please."
I like that we saw that Nora is still completely out cold.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
out.
I think that's important. That's what I said. I said, look, Ren's gonna find her like that, and that's gonna be important. That's the one Renora thing I'll mention this week, okay? But that is actually important that that's the situation. I think that she is still like completely fucking out cold, and she's got no sign of waking up. So that is how Ren's gonna find her, and that will matter. Which is, goes along with the stuff I've said previously. I won't repeat it, but I think that's important. I think that's really important, and I'm glad they showed that, even if it's just for a second.
hell, there's a chance she'll
Yeah,
be out for
I think
the rest of the volume.
I don't think they'll go that
No,
far.
they would not have set up that much stuff with Ren and Nora in the intro and everything else they've done so far, and have her out for the rest of the volume. No, I do not see that happening. Also, they've done too good of a job to do something dumb like that, because it would be dumb based on the setup that they gave, right? I think they're going. My guess is they're going to resolve them by the end of this volume. I think that will be something that happens, or at least get damn. I mean, they better. They fucking better.
I mean, that seems like usually how they do it with them, at least, because like they go through a thing and it gets wrapped up by the end, and then they go through another thing. It's like a bump of hills. It's a
Yeah,
roller
I
coaster.
suppose. I mean, there's not that much precedent because I mean, this show hasn't really done much with relationships. It's not like they have done a lot with it. The funny thing is they did the best job with it overall in the beginning when it was just sort of like, hey, this is how kind of high school relationships are, and they actually did a pretty solid job with that. Like in volumes 1 through 3. And they did do did a good job with volume 4 with Ren and Nora. But since then, they've kind of not done much with relationships and not done a very good job, especially with like, how they handled Black Sun and Bumblebee and all that. They've not done a wonderful job with that, and they haven't really done a wonderful job with Renora so far since Volume 4. So, and it's anyone's guess how they're going to handle that. But I think you're right, Coop. It's just they don't. There's not that much of a precedent with this show.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't know what's gonna go on. I would assume that it'll get like
Yeah.
sewn up,
Exactly.
put in a nice little box and put away.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe they want to drag it out. They have a tendency to like dragging things out if
Yes, they do, but I hope not, given the setup and everything. And the fact that Nora is still out cold means most likely that like whole identity crisis thing will be resolved with her and Ren getting together. So yeah, I think that's what's probably going to happen. We'll see. Anyway, I didn't even mean to talk about that this much, but I just say I liked that touch.
Yeah.
I
You
like that
never
we saw
mean
that.
to talk about that this much, but you
That's
always
true. No, sometimes I do. Sometimes I definitely do. This time I definitely didn't.
So I have another theory. I think one of the people, either Mercury or Tyrion, probably are going to like hunt down Ruby. Though I have no idea how they would know where they are at, or that they're even in on Atlas. That's a question mark. But I really feel like we're gonna have a fight in Schnee Manor, and that Willow and Whitley are gonna get involved in on the action, just to fight for their own survival, if
I was
nothing
going to
else.
say the same thing. I do expect the fight to make it there.
Yeah, I think it's you have a mansion and you have a chandelier. A fight must
Yeah.
occur in this
And
place.
of course,
Coop is right.
and of course,
Sure.
I was thinking of it in terms of like Ren, Jean, and Yang would make it back to there as well and be part of that as well.
Sir,
Yeah,
we've
and-
rendered the chandelier. What should we do? Wait.
Yeah.
Not quite
Well,
yet.
because I was of course thinking of it in terms of Renora shit happening.
Yeah,
because that's,
well, and then the
like,
other
that-
thing too, like we
that would
gotta
be part of it.
remember, Tyrion still wants to get even with Ruby for the tail.
Oh yeah, yep. And I do think it'd be, it would actually kind of be hilarious if Willow was like fucking badass. I would not mind that just because it'd be so fucking funny. I don't expect Whitley to be able to do much, but it'd be fucking hilarious if you have drunk ass Willow just like kicking everyone's ass. That would be fucking hilarious, and
I would
wouldn't even
just
be mad
expect
at
her to like just pull out random guns that she's got hidden around the house.
that. Yeah. I'm not
That-
saying we need that, but that's just something that would be funny, and I would not mind it at all.
And plus, Willow was a huntress before.
Well, Well, that plus like if Alfred is anything to go off of, if you're a butler, you have random guns hidden around your
Oh
mansion.
hell yeah, you do exactly.
It's,
If we can get the return of Klein.
yeah,
Oh man, a Clyde comes back just to like help
he
defend the
just he
household.
just busts in, fucking dumps out the
And then Willow sees her and grabs him and just yeets the child.
Weiss, take Whitley. What? I don't. Take him now.
We about to get dirty up in this bit. All the chandeliers getting busted tonight.
It's like that one bit in High School of the Dead where it's like the mom of the samurai lady was like, yeah, y'all can go now as like their camp is like just being overrun by the zombies. It's essentially that. That'd be an okay way for them to go out, further traumatize, Weiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I sure look forward to whenever Watts is escaping and 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 Crow is and Robin are just pressing the conductor there's a problem button and no one comes to answer. Watts is just gonna
Man,
crip
that
walk
actually-
Watts is just gonna crip walk his way out of the building, isn't he?
Probably.
The question is just like, is he gonna like, if he just unlocks his own jail cell, or if he just
Oh no, he would fuck with like every door and camera in that place. He would immediately see like guys coming down and like just click a button and a bulkhead would close on them and split them in half probably.
ooh.
Yeah, no, like Watts is just unironically like I expect Watts to crip walk out of the building.
He would just randomly press buttons and make a beepy noise and people would get like immediately have just giant blocks dropped on them and shit.
He notices that one guard that fucking keeps punching him. He's like, yes, you're the first one to go.
Mm.
I'll be sending your family my dental bill.
Hey guard that fucking butt stroked me. Remember when I said I would kill you last? I lied.
I lied.
Oh no. That's a Commando reference, but the way that made me kind of cringe.
Can I also say something else that I actually liked about this episode? I forgot to mention this before.
Yes.
Something I actually liked about the Cinder backstory thing is what I liked about it was that, again, most of it was predictable, but they did elevate it higher than I thought. And one of the ways they did that was like the whole kind of the relation, like how they paralleled it with how she was treated by her former slave owner, evil stepmother person, right? And the stepsisters, right? That's what they're supposed to be, even though they're just slave owners. But that's the parallel, obviously. And with how Salem treats her now, right? Which is reminded me. It's not exactly a direct parallel, but it reminds me of Mirage Centel from the Star Wars: The Clone Wars. If you don't know who that is, that was the Zygerian queen cat lady that the slave like arc where Ahsoka's Togruta people were taken as slaves. And Anakin is like Mirage Centel's like the queen's personal assistant lady, and she has a big crush on him, and she's always trying to convince herself and him that she's not a slave, and all that. And it's kind of like reminds me that like because the whole moral of the story is that she was actually a slave the whole time. And to me, it wasn't just like with Cinder that like the reason she's always running, but she's always got a master basically as well. She can never escape that. She's never been able to, and she never will be able to escape the fact that like somebody's always going to be her like slave owner essentially. And that's what Salem is now basically. And I like that parallel.
And the moral of this that the best way to enslave people is actually to give them treats and make them very comfortable and make it feel like you love them so that they'll do your bidding of their own accord.
Yeah, like Zheng He from China. Like he had the largest, like one of the largest fleets of all time. Yeah, he was a slave, but the emperor liked him and was like, hey, yeah, you can go on all these voyages and shit. So he did a good job for them, right? That's how you do it.
Head patch like Salem has given to Tyrion 2 episodes in a row now. By the way,
Yeah, I'm sitting here just like,
Yeah.
he's in heaven right
Tyrion's like just at like he is walking on sunshine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
he's a big
his
boy.
tail is very hard right now.
now.
But yeah, no, it's I mean like about like the whole like Clone Wars thing. It's like, I mean, have you seen how hot those women are? It's like, why wouldn't you be taking them as slaves?
I want Tyrion to walk
Oh,
in while Watts is crip walking out, and they just meet in the middle and do a really fucking solid hand grab and be like, "You son of a bitch."
I want Tyrion and Watts to reunite and then hug.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
Tyrion watches like I made you something, and like the like just the scale just mind controlled penny comes out.
Tyrion and Watts, best bros.
Yeah, I'm
Are we
definitely.
ready for
Yes,
questions?
let's do the questions.
All right. Travis Herndon asked 2 questions. Question 1. So what do you think the mission Salem has for Mercury will be, and do you think we're finally going to see these assassin skills Mercury said his dad trained him to become? I think he's going he's going to be fighting someone. Like I think
Maybe Harriet.
maybe I was thinking like someone on Team Ruby. He'll probably end up fighting Yang by the end of this volume, just because that's like the thing.
They have
Yeah.
to have the
Uh,
rematch.
Yeah.
They're metal prosthetics.
Anyone else have any thoughts on what Mercury might be getting up to?
I still think
Uh,
like the match
wanted to do
between him and
something. I
Harriet would
wanted
be
to do something.
interesting, like because he seems to be able to shut down speedsters pretty well.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like-
that's teleportation basically.
my negative like thought would like because I wouldn't love this is like sending him after like the Aesops and Ironwood directly, but it's like there's no point. Like does she even really need to get rid of Ironwood right now that much? I don't know that.
No, she should want him to like just stay in charge for as long as
Yeah.
the siege goes, because
Exactly.
he's right into her head.
So that's what I'm saying. I hope that's not what he's doing, but I could definitely see that as a possibility.
I mean, he's a killy boy. He's got to go out and kill something, right? Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I thought because the thing is, if he's sending, because I would have thought he would show up at the Shinee Manor, but then again, no, he wouldn't, because that's why I think more shit's gonna happen. Like, it
yes,
wouldn't just be him there.
anybody with half a
So-
brain in their skull will avoid the mansion simply because chandeliers are there and they know it, and they will be like, "Yeah, no, I'm not getting."
One
with
thing they could do is
wild-
they could send him after Pietro specifically. That could be where he's going. There's
Hmm.
that because Pietro's not actually where Penny is anymore, really.
Well, I mean, like he's
I don't
also on a
know.
fucking thing.
I
that's
don't think so.
blocking
I'm just
out of
spitballing.
orbit.
How they would get to
I'm
Yeah,
just
I don't know how
spitballing.
I don't know how he would get to Amity.
I don't think anybody would care.
Yeah.
I think they would be like, "Oh shit, whoever's on there is dead as fuck anyway." Like,
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I'm
like
just spitballing.
you're
I haven't
gonna-
really thought
people
about
the
this
people
very
on
much.
Atlas are going to be having a pretty bad time pretty soon.
I mean, they could have him just like sit around like down in the slums and off various little happy huntresses or whatever. Like, possibly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be good with that.
So a second question: how do you feel about Hazel's reasoning for joining Salem? Does that make up for Volume 5, or is it too late? Nothing will ever make up for Volume 5. Don't ever insinuate that.
Don't ever mention talk about Volume 5 around my volume. Wait, what volume are we on again?
8.
Don't mention Volume 5 around my Volume 8 ever again.
There is no Volume 5 embossing say.
It makes it ever so slightly less complete trash, but it's still complete trash.
So next question was from Upjohn. It was just asking what our thoughts on Cinder's backstory was, as if we weren't going to talk about that for like an hour anyway.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast, that's your answer.
Yes. Yeah.
Dab.
Quiet Message asked a couple questions. Now that we have Cinder's backstory, was the wait worth it?
No.
No.
Eh.
No, definitely not. And that's fine. Like, I don't think we need. Like, this is still a fine episode. I'm not saying that to be super negative, but no,
I
of
will-
course it wasn't worth it.
I
But I
will-
never thought it would be.
I
Even
will
if
s-
we got it earlier, it still wouldn't have been worth the wait. Like, it's
It
not.
w-
It's predictable backstory. They just
What-
implement. I think this is a fine time to implement it. Actually, it's just not. I just think it needed to be implemented at all.
It probably didn't, because she basically just said all of the things that we got out of it beforehand anyway. Like,
Yeah, it only works because they made parallels with other things happening this specific volume. If they wanted to have Cinder's origin story on its own, it should have been in like volume 4.
yeah.
As part
I mean-
like have that be part of her like recovery arc that she was allegedly going on in that volume.
Would have made sense and seem reasonable. They just kind of didn't show her like doing much of anything.
And they already
Saying
took it
wor-
anyway, so.
I did like that she didn't say words. That was pretty cool.
Check.
Not saying words is a pretty cool thing to have her do. Do that more.
Yeah. His second question, think many of the named characters will die in Atlas, or will it just be extras?
No.
We might get a few deaths. Like
Penny Winter.
I don't think any of the main characters are going to
No.
die.
I think
Uh,
Penny and Winter.
yeah, Penny
Yeah,
might
Penny
die
and Winter on the
again.
chopping block.
Winter might die.
Definitely more members of the Aesop's
Oh,
team.
yeah. Anyone involved with the Aesops
Already been
has like a
canned.
death
Yep.
Yes.
flag.
I mean, like, I don't know. They already came damn close. I think if they have existed for more than 1 year, then they're probably not going to die. That's usually seems to be how it goes, except for in one specific circumstance with this thing. But
Yeah, I do think it's funny how like people thought that was like a predictor of like other characters dying. It definitely wasn't. Like they had a very specific idea of Pyrrha dying, and that was not like it was not a precedent setter, basically.
yeah, the precedent setter seems to be, hey, you just came on this volume. You gonna die, son.
Yeah.
You dead. You dead as soon as you walked in the door. How you not dead already, man? Like honestly, why didn't you just die before this? How did you even come on? Like why do you even exist, bro? You just gonna die.
Yeah. So next question. Will Mercury get a one-on-one fight with someone? I hope so. It's been a really long time since he's had a fight, and it's been an even longer time since he's had a fight that wasn't complete ass.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
last
pretty
fight,
much.
well, you couldn't even call it a fight. It was
Yeah,
a
I mean he had that little he threw hands with Emerald for a little bit at that one point in volume 6, and then before that it was volume 5. No need to explain that. And then before that, you would have to go back to his little tussle with Ruby in Volume 3.
yeah.
Every half decent one he's been in, he's thrown.
Yeah, like Mercury, like when he fought Yang. Uh, I do remember when he kicked Coco and Yatsuhashi's asses, though.
Eh,
That was fun.
yeah, but you didn't really see that happen. Like there was
It
not
was implied
much.
and off screen.
Yeah, it was implied ass kicking.
No, there was quite a bit of it on screen,
A
like when
bit,
he
but
darted in between them and then kicked them both behind the knees.
no, it was some good retconning for sure.
Yeah. So his fourth question, is Oscar becoming more like Ozpin, or
So
is
we
the
already talked about
plotting
that.
his own doing? Yeah, we kind of already answered that. Yeah, it's getting closer to like the convergence with their souls. And his final question, does the implication that Hazel tried to fight Salem first before giving up and just going for Ozpin because it was easier make Hazel's character stronger or weaker? It makes it more interesting if that really is the implication. If he really did try to fight Salem at one point.
It's interesting, but still.
Still doesn't save Volume 5
Yeah,
from
still.
being absolute trash, but yeah.
Ryan W asked, "What exactly is Cinder Semblance?" She can generate heat, like a lot of heat. I don't know why that was. I think it was either the lore book or that Amity Arena, bullshit
Probably the former.
that actually like confused it, because she always had like glowy hand power that can solidify like glass into weapons, into obsidian weapons. Like that was always her power. That was always the application of her power. Like it's actually heat control, and she's used it in several ways to create like the exploding arrows, to create like the heat circles on the ground when she fought Glinda, to melt Pyrrha's sword, to melt the dagger, though that was post Maiden powers, so that could have just been Maiden magic. Yeah, that's been her powers, and this just solidified it. Uh, she has like the washcloth in her hand at one point, and she like superheats it and throws it down, and it just vaporizes all the water, turning it into vapor.
That was not a washcloth. That was a scuzz brush.
Scuzz brush, whatever.
Scuzz brush.
It was a cleaning thing that was wet and not emerald.
No.
Darn.
Damn.
in the
that might be the best joke I've said all volume. Uh,
sorry, you saying that and then just like me going back like 20 minutes ago where like High Power is just like literally licking his chops into his microphone. It's just like it makes me very uncomfortable. It's like this is not the ASMR I signed up for.
J.K. Lilly asked, "Do you think Nora can get a necklace like Cinder for her semblance? That would be interesting."
Oh no. Oh no.
I mean, she basically already has that with like the button on her
Yeah.
on Megan Hill. She already kind of has that. So, but I mean, like, you know, in the bedroom, I'm sure she's gonna have something like that for sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Fuck it. Just like rig her up with like a fucking car battery. Like it's the same shit. Don't gotta spend as much money on it. That jewelry shit that costs way more. Plus,
Why should he ask?
when the most expensive thing you own is the thing that tortures you.
Uh,
Feel Cinderman.
Why should he asked, why did Salem not land the whale on actual buildings? Because it might have hurt the whale and also the Grim as they fell out.
It's
It
just
was just
easier.
it was
It's
just
just easier to land on a nice even spot. Don't think too hard
Yeah.
about this.
Why would she? She's like, it's free real estate. Why would I damage it?
I mean, landings are just crashes you walk away from, really.
Uh, so, Sean Resendez asked two questions. One, why didn't the huntsman take Cinder away from her obviously abusive guardian? He didn't want no kids. He wanted a student. That's all.
Well, that just raises the
I
question. I think there's actually some division here. Well, it's one
Also,
with
he
the
couldn't
like, but that was just a
That it
hotel.
would technically
Or that was,
be
like, high
kidnapping
society-
too, also, if he just ran
well,
off with Cinder.
I mean, like, there's a bunch of things about it, but the main one is that then she probably never fucking would have ended up in the position she fucking ended up with. So he,
Yeah.
like, legit couldn't. They wrote
Yeah.
themselves.
One of
into
the reasons why we didn't need the backstory, because then you have questions. Because that's a fair question to whoever asked that question. It's very obvious. It's a very fair question because it is a bit of a plot hole. But
and the answer is because they couldn't. Because if they had,
because
then it
plot
would have
hole.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second question, do you think they're going to pull a volume 3 and split up the cast for the next few volumes?
No.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, I really don't see
They
why. There's
kind
nothing-
of already it's been there, done that. It's old hat.
Yeah, I really hope not, and I don't see why. Right? Again, and I know it's connected to Renora, but it really is like because they set that stuff up. Like they set Nora up to get hurt, so Ren could see that. Right? That's why they did that.
I would
Unless
go
anybody disagrees with me, right? Like so that means they're coming back.
I mean,
right?
yeah, I would go so far as to say that even Jaxblade himself will not get his beloved random team up buddy cop pairings that he wants to see so bad,
And-
and he'll go back to the old ways.
And beyond that too, Ruby and Yang, like clearly they set up that and they need to deal with that as well. They're not going to split them up for several more volumes after doing that. And they have to handle Bumblebee. They have to address that. So no, again, they would not. And those groups are all split up right now. They would not keep them split up at this point. I think that'd be ridiculous.
All right. Connor Hines asked two questions. Which do you think are the best and worst episodes of the volume so far? Since we're about halfway through now.
Worst is
The worst is the first, and second is the best. Third is the one with the hairy chest. No, the best one is actually the one where Rin went off on
So the fourth
Jean and Yang.
is
Yep.
that the fourth one? I believe it is.
Fourth, right?
That was
because Amity was fifth.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. I'd agree. First
Yeah.
worst, fourth best right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ren's
Same.
speech. Ren's speech for the win.
I'm down with that being the way it is.
I'm always happy to see Red stop being, just so monotone. So
Yes.
His second question: how worried are you that the second half of the volume will be completely awful? I am expecting
Don't talk to
it.
me or my volume 8
I am
ever again.
expecting it.
I'm 50-50 because it's RWBY, and so it's very rare that we can't we never can truly have nice things. We've only had I think one volume that was consistent throughout the entire volume, and that was volume 4, and even that one had some pretty crap stuff in the middle of it, and it wasn't amazing. It was just solid the whole time, right? But volume 3 was terrible at the beginning and pretty good at the end, and then volume 6 was very good at the beginning and was pretty meh at the end. So, I mean, this is the best streak we've ever had, though. So I do think there is actually a fairly decent chance that we could get an entirely solid volume. Especially because I really I don't know, I'm kind of hopeful now, which means
As long as
because I was negative at the beginning and hopeful now, watch it fall apart now. But I don't know. I'm actually, you know what? I'll be honest. I'm 65-35 that will get an entire, at least solid volume. Even
like
if the second half
as long as the ending, like we could have we probably got enough goodwill banked up for like what 3 bad episodes,
Yeah.
and as long as the ending is still good, then we'll be fine. Like if we have a bad ending to this volume, then like it'll kind of sour everything else.
Yeah,
but
the setups have been good though, so I know that I'm not seeing a setup for crap. I guess is what I'm saying. It could still be crap, but that's not what I'm saying.
Maybe sometimes writing yourself into a corner is a good idea because there's really just not anything that I can see them doing other than what.
Yeah, as long as it's a good corner. There's nothing wrong with writing yourself into a corner, as long as the corner is good.
Yeah, it's a good corner. It's got some fluffy teddy bears. There's a hot dog there.
It's actually it's not it's a direction if you know what you're doing, right? Instead of a corner, right? Like if you don't know what you're doing, it becomes a wall. But if you're doing a decent job, then it's just a clear path, right?
Don't do what Kubo did.
You become like Pixel. You become the cat who can walk through walls.
Ceiling cat.
No. Like
Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I think that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a good episode, and man, we're gonna have I look forward to the cliffhanger.
The cliffhanger
This Saturday.
That's gonna be the kicker because it's gonna be such a long wait for it. It's gonna be such bullshit. This fucking.
I would say they probably would just ditch it on a fucking cliffhanger. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about that. That makes sense. Did we talk about on the podcast that we were glad that they're waiting this long? That we're actually glad about that?
We mentioned that
Okay.
last week, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't here for that. My bad.
Yeah, I'm glad for it.
Yeah, I am too.
I honestly think this episode would have been a better episode. I mean, we obviously haven't seen the next episode yet. We haven't seen episode 7. We record this on Sundays and then they get posted on Saturdays after the episode is available. So I don't know, but I really feel like this was kind of a better cliffhanger to end off on.
Well, at least we know it would have been a good one.
Until I am proven wrong, otherwise, I'm kind of gonna stick with that throughout this week.
I mean, like, it's like I said, fucking, we're on click 5 of the revolver, guys. Statistically speaking,
I have a hope for what the cliffhanger would be for next week, and I won't say it until we get that episode. So
I'm not saying like a cliffhanger. Like I'm not saying a cliffhanger is a bad thing. Like I'm expecting a cliffhanger. It's just what type of cliffhanger do we get is the real question.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. I have an idea for what I want. But I'm not going to talk about it right now. But yeah, no, I think it's good that they're taking the break because it hopefully means what we get is higher quality. There's in the past they've rushed stuff out and it's been terrible as a result, and now they're not doing that. That's good. Yeah. I'm glad.
Yeah, it also just kills the animation department by themselves.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously, human rights and stuff.
Yeah, maybe human rights. That thing.
But I mean, how can you
treat their employees like crap?
But how can you win Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards if you don't treat your employees like crap?
I don't know. What's the Druckmann?
If you're not like Nintendo, who tries to kill a grassroots video game scene, fuck you, Nintendo. Save Melee, free Melee, save Smash.
Also, fuck Last of Us 2.
Fuck Last of Us 2. Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude, but it seems you've posted some soundtrack beats from the Legend of Zelda. I'm afraid we now have to send you to the gulag.
Which is funny because I don't even care for Legend of Zelda. Not saying it's bad. I just never played it. So I was a Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie kid at the time, so that was what I played. And then I got into Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter. So I made it past. I just never got into Legend of Zelda. I'm not saying it's not good. I've never played it, so I don't know. Okay.
man.
Media got so offended, like I do when he insults Final Fantasy. Also,
Well, I mean,
Sephiroth's
I
honestly,
wasn't insulting it. I said don't care for it because I don't know about it. All right, and I'm not really going to get into it now because fuck Nintendo.
I mean, like, honestly, if anything, you having never played it makes you more safe from the gulag because you don't even know what any of those tracks are.
Exactly, I don't. Except for whatever's in Melee.
Yeah, if you like this video and want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe. Consider supporting the Patreon and joining the Discord. If you do support the Patreon, you will have access to the Media Secret Squirrel server, where we will be spending this hiatus watching some old Christmas specials together, maybe, if I can be bothered. And I'm working on some other stuff for this hiatus, some fan fiction stuff, some video stuff. I'm really looking forward to that, and y'all should watch Wolfwalkers. It's worth getting the free trial for Apple's terrible streaming service. That's the worst part. The worst part about Wolfwalkers is you have to deal with Apple Plus. Uh,
I'm almost certain you don't have to, should
well,
you
you
go
won't have to
about it.
for long. It's not on totally legit streaming services yet. I looked. I was like,
Ah,
yeah. Give it a few weeks and it will be, I'm sure.
don't worry,
On totally
mateys, we'll
legit
find
streaming
that map
services.
eventually, and it'll lead
Yeah.
us to the buried treasure. Arg.
Yeah, I will post that. I will post that link in the Discord once I get it. Because that's how good the movie is. Y'all just need to behold it and fuck Apple.
Oh
They don't
yeah.
need it. They don't need any more money.
Yeah, I'll watch it eventually, media, since you've been talking about it so much. And
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's all over my Twitter. Not only just because
Yeah.
of me, but because of everyone else on my Twitter feed. It's just kind of like Wolfwalkers. And if it's on any other
It's
platform than Apple, I would do it. But
it's by the same guys who did Song of the Sea, one of my favorite animated movies of all time, and it's just as gorgeous. So yeah, that's all I have to plug.
alrighty then, I think we're gonna shut this down. Hope everyone is having a good Christmas, and yeah, that's about it.